All right, everyone, welcome to this weekend Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for May 25th through the 27th of 2018. All right, so this weekend, quite a bit going on. We've got Jupiter trining Neptune going exact on Friday. Talked a lot about this yesterday in yesterday's video, but this is about feeling a bit inspired, perhaps, towards any hopes or wishes or ideals we've had since around December of last year. So another step in the right direction. This aspect will be going on all the way through August. So between now and then, maybe utilizing a bit of this open-mindedness and cultivating some of these inner or outer opportunities. So we have the moon in Virgo all weekend. I think as a theme, it's a great one for taking care of things, seeing what can be improved in our lives, getting into the nitty-gritty of things and doing the work. But we do have some other aspects. On Friday, we have Mercury trining Pluto. So quite empowerment, actually, maybe with the routine, maybe with our minds and communication. Mercury shifts into Taurus about mid-weekend. So our minds going into a bit of a more grounded energy, probably a bit more stability with what we're thinking about and doing on a daily basis. And Venus opposite Saturn on Saturday. Great time to do a status check with our values and our relationships. All right, so let's look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so let's go and break this down day by day. We'll start with Friday. Again, this channel is for true sidereal astrology. We're using the actual size of the constellations as seen in the visible sky, which does change the signs from mainstream astrology. So if you are new, definitely check out the link down below, which explains all of this in detail. All right, so Friday, moon very well set in the middle of Virgo, making this, like I said, a great weekend for really seeing what can be improved, fixed in our life, embedded, right? And getting into the details of things. This is essentially what Virgo is about. So on a most fundamental level, this is about self-refinement, self-improvement. So a great weekend for anything like that, involving the routine, diet, again, taking care of things, essentially doing the work that needs to be done is what Virgo's about, and setting those earthy foundations with what is a very earthy time. We do have the sun in Taurus, and Mercury shifting into Taurus this weekend, adding to this. So Taurus is about the inner resources. I think this whole lunar cycle for about the past almost couple weeks now has been about developing these inner resources, and in this way taking things slowly and steadily. We'll likely notice this shift with our mind this weekend, where our minds are literally going into this type of energy, where we're just thinking a little bit more slowly, more stably, right? Wanting to understand one thing before moving on to the next. And even with our routine as well, just taking things one step at a time is usually really good with this type of energy. So in this context, we do have a full moon on Tuesday of next week. So we are in the heightened part of this lunar cycle. I think all weekend there is some momentum. I think it's with the earth energies. So utilizing that and starting to do a status check, I feel like, with just the past couple weeks, you know, and using whatever news come into our life the past couple weeks to continue to move things forward. All right, so that's the backdrop. But on Friday, we do have quite a few or a couple aspects here taking place. The most important being Jupiter trining up to Neptune. So I talked a lot about this in yesterday's video, but essentially, this is about another step in the right direction, involving anything that you may have been feeling inspired about or hopeful about since around December of last year. So this is the second contact with it. December was the first, and the last will be on August 19th. And what the second aspect typically symbolizes is understanding how to work with the energy. We've become acclimated to the energy, and it usually does make it a bit more physically manifesting, like we see it a little bit more in the tangible world. So between now and August, excellent time for utilizing this. Right, it is an easy aspect, so it's something that we're not forced into like a square, and it is, you know, it's available, so we can choose to work with it. And I think if there's anything that you have felt that inspiration about, maybe been receptive about possibilities with, maybe a bit hopeful, maybe involve some ideals or some dreams, excellent time between now and August to take the action steps and actually cultivate some of this stuff. I will put down below in the comment section which houses this trine is taking place for you, just to get a little bit more of a specific idea what it might be pertaining to for you specifically. But Jupiter is retrograde. I do want to mention that when it does come to these opportunities, to still be a bit flexible, try new things, experiment. It's all about learning right now with Jupiter retrograde when it comes to whatever these bigger picture things are. All right, so that's going exact on Friday. Along with that, Mercury is trining up to Pluto. So we do have this bit of empowerment, I think, with our minds on Friday. Excellent energy for research, diving deep into things, communicating the depth, because we're seeing the depth and aware of it, whether it's in our personal life or our work or whatever it might be. Also communicating that depth, right? So very empowering communications, great time for that interconnectivity in our relationships, so that vulnerability, openness, things of this nature. Also really good for psychology, again, for ourselves and for the environment, just diving deep. Really, really good energy for this. And we could even notice it with the routine as well, just a bit of this empowerment of change, perhaps, with, again, what is a weekend of building some momentum. All right, so as we get into Saturday, we start to feel a bit of this Venus opposite Saturn. This is, collectively a bit of a challenging energy, but not too much. Essentially what it is it's the halfway point in a yearly sense regarding these two planets. So roughly about 6 months ago, maybe if, this is not very major, but if you've noticed there was some sort of new beginning you were taking with your values or relationships in a way that's, I think, a little responsible or taking that area seriously, I think it's a weekend of this now. Doing the status check in terms of our values and in terms of our relationships in the context of how can we, take the responsible approach here, the patient approach, and really with the opposition, the balanced approach. So great weekend for the status check, yet staying connected as well. I think with oppositions, it's always good to incorporate both energies. So if you are feeling a bit of that Saturn responsibility or what might feel like a bit of detachment, again, taking, the things we normally enjoy seriously, great to do that, but with balance, with also being grateful for what we have in our life, who we have in our life, and enjoying, really bringing that conscious attention to interconnect, to connect to our values and to our relationships makes this an excellent, aspect to do that. So great for that status check, essentially incorporating both the responsible with the enjoyment or the connectivity is fantastic with this opposition. All right, so that's the weekend in a nutshell. That Mercury will be shifting into earthy Taurus as we get into the later part of Saturday, adding to more of the earth energy. Again, a great weekend for taking care of things, improving things, and again, taking things slowly and steadily with that Taurus energy. It's all about continuing to cultivate those inner resources with Taurus. And once we get into about Sunday, we'll notice a bit of the easing up energy from the Venus-Saturn opposition. And we do get that Jupiter trine activated again. The moon is going to go over Jupiter on Sunday, which will be adding to the, again, hopefulness, inspiration, if you're feeling anything like that. That open-mindedness that's certainly available. So that's going to be a shift with the moon going into Libra. I think the second half of Sunday, really good for bringing in some balance in our life, seeing if there's any areas we can bring into balance, and also balance in our relationships, bringing in a bit of that equality, mutuality, cooperation, things of that nature, which will be the theme going into Monday. All right, so have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and the bell button if you do want to stay up to date on these daily forecasts. And I will see you all on Monday for the daily forecast. Take care.